Hey, good people. Welcome to Melanated Vibrations, a new show that celebrates the diversity and richness of Black culture. Join us as we delve into our individual mental health and overall mental health of our community. From the latest trends to the timeless coping mechanisms, we'll showcase the best of what it means to be mentally healthy. So sit back, relax, and get ready to feel the vibrations of Black excellence. Let's get started. Hey, good people. Happy Monday. Happy Monday evening. I hope your Monday was a complete success and everything that you set out to do today, you were able to do. Welcome to Melanated Vibrations. Let's get started. So this evening, I would like to do something slightly different. It's still a grounding technique, but it's what we call guided meditation. And so this evening, we are going to start with guided meditation. So wherever you are comfortable at, don't try it while you're driving, but if you are sitting down or standing up or wherever you feel comfortable, I want you to center your feet. Make sure that your feet are touching the ground at least. You know how we always start off. We wiggle our toes and, get the blood flowing in our feet. So let's get started with our guided meditation. So I want to invite you to gently close your eyes and to take a nice, slow, deep breath in. Deeper than you've taken all day thus far. And as you exhale, I want you to concentrate on the sound of my voice, allowing my voice to ground you in the present moment. Give yourself permission right now to focus on you, making yourself your first priority. There's nowhere else you need to be. There is nothing else you need to be doing. For the next minute and a half, your well-being is your focus. And we will continue to breathe in and out. Slow, deep breaths, allowing each inhale to be deeper than the one before, and feeling your lungs expand as you breathe out. Breathe in slowly, exhale slowly. As you breathe this way, feel the breath moving through your body. I want you to also take this time to feel any stress in your body and where you hold your stress. Remember, breathe in slow through your nose, out through your mouth. Unclench your jaw and allow your shoulders to drop down below your ears. Open your palms and continue to breathe in slowly and breathe out slowly. And now allow your breath to return to its normal rhythm, but stay focused on your breathing. We're going to count back from 5 and we're going to begin to open our eyes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And at 1, we should all have our eyes open. I hope everyone enjoyed that exercise. So this evening, I am bringing into this space, I am bringing in hopefulness. That the topic that we talk about today will help someone or simply even encourage you if this is something that you are already doing. So Tonight's topic is going to be about boundaries. So, I know that boundaries is something that is very hard for a lot of us, especially when it comes to our family or friends or anyone that may be close to us. Um, Holding boundaries, holding people accountable while still holding ourselves accountable is very important. I believe I have a guest this evening. Not sure if they've joined in the background or not. But before we bring the guests in, if they've joined, like I said, the topic for this evening is boundaries. So, if everyone could put in the comments one boundary that you have for people, if you have any, if not, that's fine. We're going to learn about boundaries. Um, put in the comments what is one boundary that you do have for people, family, friends, your kids, whomever you set this boundary for. And what does that boundary look like for you? So, if you're wondering what is a boundary is a line that marks the limit of an area, a dividing line. That is what a boundary is. Some examples of personal boundaries might be I'm cool with following each other on social media, but not sharing passwords. So this may go for people that are in a relationship, while you guys may, follow each other on social media, um, but you're not okay with sharing your password. Not that you have anything to hide, just simply because that's a boundary of yours that we can follow each other on social media, we can comment on each other's posts, but we're just not okay with sharing passwords. Um, so some people may have stuff to hide, but for those of us that do not, that could be a boundary of ours. Another boundary could be I'm comfortable with kissing and holding hands, but not in public. Some people do not like PDA. I am one of those people. I do not like PDA. I think things like that should be in the household, behind closed doors. That's just a boundary of mine. Um, Another personal boundary could be I'm okay with regularly texting, but I don't want to text multiple times in an hour. So, for people that have friends or again, relationships, any type of interpersonal relationships where you can have a text exchange with that person back and forth, um, you know, throughout the day, but we do not need to be on the phone all day. We do not need to be texting all day. I do not need to know what's going on for you every day, all day. Um, and so that could be a boundary is that we don't need to send 12 text messages in an hour. Maybe like one or two, or if we're having a conversation, that's something different. But the what you doing? How's work? How's this? How's we don't need to do that. That could be a personal boundary of yours. So there are 7 types of boundaries. Okay, best friend, don't lie or tarnish my character. That's a beautiful boundary. Don't pop up at my house by any means. Absolutely. Please don't do that. Don't waste or abuse my time. Absolutely. Time is definitely important. Absolutely. Those are boundaries that we set for people. It's not allowing my time to be dictated to me. That's a great boundary. Don't tell me what I'm going to do with my time. Respect my space. Absolutely. Absolutely. These are all really, 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 really good boundaries. Dishonesty. If I'm asking you a question specifically, it means I already know. Right. My boundary is just tell me the truth. Like 9 times out of 10, I already know. So, you know, um, so I want to go over a few boundaries or the 7 type of boundaries before we bring in our guests. So they say there are 7 types of boundaries you may need. So what boundaries do you need? Physical boundaries. So a physical boundary could be, hey, don't touch me there. I don't like to be touched there, or I do like to be touched there. Boundaries is not just telling people what not to do, but it's also telling people don't question my character. I agree. If I say I am doing something, then I am a woman or a man of my word, then trust my character. Absolutely. Physical boundaries, right? Telling someone how you like to be touched or how you do not like to be touched. Sexual boundaries. I'm sure we all know that, but if we don't, consent, consent, consent. If I have learned nothing else from being a part of the Big Exclusive Network, that is the key word, consent. Sexual boundaries are good with consent. There must be consent, and on both parties. It doesn't just have to be one or the other. It doesn't have to just be the female giving consent. It also could be the male giving consent. Emotional or mental boundaries. You ask what that may be. Hey, First Class. Emotional or mental boundaries protects your right to have your own feelings and thoughts, to not have your feelings criticized or invalidated, and not have to take care of other people's feelings. I think that is super important. I want to put a pin in that. Emotional or mental boundaries, right? A lot of times when we have conversations with people, or we're talking to someone and we may not agree or they may not agree with us, they'll skip past what we're saying. And then we feel like our feelings or our thoughts are invalidated, that you didn't really hear what it was that I had to say. You just needed to get out what it was that you needed to say. And making sure that we create a space for others. So, when we talk about being that friend for that person, it may be someone that's not in therapy, or, having a hard time finding a therapist. But if you're that friend, learning to create a space for that person and to validate how they feel. Even if you don't agree with it, still create a safe space for them. Um, and even with the emotional and mental, like, protect your right to have your own feelings and thoughts. You do not have to go with the status quo. You do not have to agree with someone because it's popular. If you want to have a different opinion outside of them, that is okay. That is a part of your boundary. Spiritual or religious boundaries. That goes without saying. People are allowed to believe in whatever God they choose to, or the lack thereof. That's their soul, has nothing to do with you. And vice versa. Whatever you believe in, if you grew up in a Christian household and you decide that you want to convert to Buddhism or Islam, that is your right. That is your choice. That is your boundary. You do not have to go with the flow of things because that is how you were raised. And not feeling pressured to be a certain religion or believe in a certain spirituality because everyone else is doing it. Financial and material boundaries. Financial and material boundaries protect your financial resources and possessions. Your right to spend your money as you choose, to not give or loan your money or possessions if you don't want to, and your right to be paid by an employer as agreed. So that goes without saying as well, right? Financial and material boundaries. Always think about, like, when people get famous, right? You have celebrities, rapper, basketball player, whatever. You come into a couple of dollars and it's like the whole family comes out of nowhere. You get cousins and aunties and second removed this and that you didn't even know existed. And it's like people feel entitled to your success. They feel entitled to your money. And so learning to set a financial and a material boundary of, this is mine. I earned this. I worked for this. I practice. You want with me shooting in the gym, like as they say, hey, I got me here. And so, of course, look out for who you choose to look out for, but never feel obligated to do something financially for somebody, especially if it's going to put you in a situation where you are set back financially. If you cannot do it, no is a complete sentence. You don't have to explain yourself. It's a complete sentence. Time boundaries. I know a couple people mentioned that in the comments. Time boundaries. Time boundaries protect how you spend your time. They protect you from agreeing to do things you don't want to do, having people waste your time, and being overworked. So that is an important boundary. Time boundaries. You do not have to say yes to everything. Again, no is a complete sentence. Not allowing somebody to dictate your time, like, oh, well, you off today, so you should sit home and rest if that is what I choose to do. Or if I choose to pluck out every gray hair in my head, that is what I choose to do with my time. Not allowing someone to guilt you into spending your time the way they want you to. Last but not least is a non-negotiable boundary. Non-negotiable boundaries are deal breakers. These are things that you absolutely must have in order to feel safe. They usually pertain to safety issues such as physical violence, emotional abuse, drug or alcohol use, fidelity, and life-threatening health issues. Before I start sessions with any of my clients, or once I start sessions, usually my first homework assignment with my clients are, give me a list of non-negotiables. So no matter what they're coming in for, everybody is coming in for some type of interpersonal. We think that we're only treating the individual, but in reality, when you treat an individual for therapy, you're really treating the whole family. 9 times out of 10, that depression, that anxiety is caused or elevated due to a family member, a friend, them not being able to say no, them not being able to create healthy and safe boundaries for themselves. And so I have my clients create a list of non-negotiables, things that are just not negotiable. It's not up for debate. I'm not asking you, are you okay with it? I'm telling you, these 5 things are a must to have a relationship with me. And so I think that is important that everyone has non-negotiable boundaries where, again, the point of it is for you to feel safe. And safety could be anything, whatever safety is for you. So before I continue, I like to bring my guest on so we can continue to talk about boundaries. Hey, hey. I
Hello,
wasn't
how
sure who
are
was
you?
going to show up. I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
I ain't
brethren
know.
having difficulties right now.
Oh, all right. All right.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if the love doctor was showing up or not. Okay. So
How are
thank you
you?
for coming.
Thanks for having
Um,
me.
so we are talking about boundaries. How important they are to have them. Why don't we have them, and how do we implement them, especially
Right.
within our community? Like, it's hard because with us as Black people, like, family is big to us. Like, you'll have a household, Big Mama will have everybody living in her house.
Mm-hmm.
It don't matter where they sleeping at, the couch, the floor, people 2 in the bedroom, 3 in the bed. But it's like, at what point do we say, what, this is not healthy? This boundaries. What's your take on it?
I mean, in that particular situation, I feel like it's up to Big Mama's kids to establish those boundaries
Mm.
because you grew up in that house. You know how she used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You dig what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
you know what the
Mm-hmm.
boundaries are because you grew up with those boundaries. So when you see, her starting to get older and starting to get lax, don't get me wrong. They tend to want to spread that love a little more as they get a little older. But as the child of said person is like, Mom, is this enough? You know what I mean? Or talk to the parents of those kids that's coming over because I think that's not necessarily a problem. I think that's what we lacking now in our communities, in our household. Like our grandmothers now is trying to have hot girl summers. You know what I'm saying? The grandmother that I grew up with, like, I knew I could knock on that door anytime and she was going to be there watching the stories. She was going to be cooking. You dig what I'm
Yeah.
saying? She just
Yeah.
got done cooking. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I really don't think that's a bad thing. I feel like it's the generation under who has to set those boundaries in that particular situation.
So you would say it's up to the kids to be like, all right, Mom, like, all right, Dad, or whatever. Like,
The kids who are adults now. You dig what
the
I'm
kids that
saying?
are adults now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Boundaries. Do you have them? And if you
I
do,
do.
how are you able to set them? How are you able to be like, all right, nope, enough's enough? How do you do it?
Um, it depends on said person. You dig what I'm saying? One of my biggest boundaries is know how to have a conversation with me. If we can't have a conversation, then the conversation is over. and sometimes you have to enforce that different ways. You know what I mean? With different people under different circumstances. Sometimes you can simply walk away. Sometimes you might have to hang up. Sometimes you might have to close the door in a phase. Like, it all depends on different situations. But you have to have said boundary, and you can't. Nobody can be exempt to that. You know what I mean? Nobody. I mean, don't get me wrong. Your elders, of course, there's a respectful way, but you still have to enforce that boundary. If you give some people leeway to that boundary, other people won't take it serious.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And they'll
Mm.
try you. And then now you're talking about tarnishing relationships and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So
And I think that's important.
yeah,
Holding everyone to that expectation. I think a
right,
lot of times that's hard, right? So, like, when we're in relationships, we set a certain boundary with our partner, then we set with our friends, then we set with our family, like,
right,
keeping it consistent. And I think that's probably one of the hardest things. Now, everybody's boundary is going to be different, but I think there has to be like a baseline of just like, again, those non-negotiables. These are
right.
things I'm just not willing to negotiate on. This goes for everyone across the board.
Right.
I have really strong boundaries, probably too strong sometimes,
Right.
with people because I don't play with people. I don't got time. I'm not a child. Don't play with me. But that took a lot of me like not having them before I learned exactly what they were. A lot of like people wasting my time and not taking me serious because I would say one
Right.
thing but then I'd fold and do something else. And so I think that's important because unfortunately when it comes to family, friends, or your lover or whatever, it's hard to keep a boundary consistent across the board for everybody. We try, but it's like, that one person might say that sweet nothing or little time. You'd be like, remember when we was kids, and now they didn't try to
Right.
give you a soft story, and now you like, all right, man, like trying to
Well,
hold it is hard.
I didn't have that boundary until my father passed away.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? When my dad passed away, it was like I heard a saying. They said you don't find out, you don't become a man. Somebody said it on here. I think it was Luke. He said you don't become a man until you lose your father, and
mm,
that really hit me because when I lost my father, that's when my perspective became really manly. Like, you dig what I'm saying?
yeah.
And that was one thing that my dad didn't allow. You know what I'm saying? We can go back and forth all day long respectfully, but as
Mm-hmm,
soon as you get to talking to me like I'm your child,
mm-hmm.
you,
Yeah. Now we got a problem.
you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And then
Mm-hmm,
on the flip side of things, understanding from my standpoint, if I raise my voice or if I curse, once you disrespect that person, they're no longer listening to anything else that you're saying. They're
mm-hmm,
waiting for that gap so they can respond to the point that they felt disrespected.
mm-hmm.
You dig what I'm saying? So I try to be careful on my end too. But that right there is what you called it earlier. You said you get five.
The non-negotiables.
That right there is a non-negotiable for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And to that point, like I said it a couple times on this show, people here to respond, they don't listen to process. And
Right.
so if you and I are having a conversation and we're allowed to disagree, right? Like I don't have to
Mm-hmm.
agree with what you're saying, but the moment it turns left and now you're being disrespectful or condescending or invalidating how I feel, I'm done listening. Conversation is over. I have heard
Right.
nothing you have said because now, like you said, I'm just waiting for that space to get in and say what I need to say. I took that one thing you said I ain't like, and I've been waiting
Right.
for my moment to talk. Like I've shut down now. I've heard nothing else you said, and so I think that's important. Like making sure you have those conversations. How important is it to respect other people's boundaries? It's the top of the list for me. That's a non-negotiable for me. Like I think that's something that we need to get better as just humans is learning to respect other people's boundaries, but specifically in the Black community, I
That takes time too, though,
that takes
especially
time.
with new relationships, because everybody have different boundaries. You know what I mean? You could take this person a little farther in this area, but this person ain't playing that. Like, you dig what I'm
Right,
saying? So you
right,
got to kind of learn the person that you're dealing with boundary. And I'm not even talking about in a romantic relationship. I'm talking about
right.
relationships, period.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So on the flip side of it, I feel like you have to give people leeway to push those boundaries, but that's also your chance to exercise, like, hey, this is my boundary. That's your chance to exercise in a way of communicating it without offending them. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm. It's definitely going to take time. Like walking into any new relationship, whether it's a work relationship, friendships, new family members that you meet, it's going to take time. Like you can't just be
Mm-hmm.
like, all right, these are my boundaries, and you got to listen. Well, what about my boundaries? Like, what about the stuff that
Right.
I don't like? Like, all right, I heard what you said, but what? So I'm just supposed to like listen to what you said, but I ain't supposed to have nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to give a couple examples and I wanted your feedback on this of building boundaries and kind of just how you do it. So like I said earlier, saying no without guilt. No is a complete sentence. If someone asks you to do something, you don't want to do it, you don't want to go, no. I'm not explaining to you why. The answer is no. Like it's just, and not feel guilty about saying no. I think that's a lot of people's like boundary they struggle with is because it's like, especially when you're a person that wants to be there for everyone. I know I'm kind of like, I drop everything. What my friends need, like we out. It don't matter. I could be dog tired. I got two jobs and a kid, and then this. It's just a lot, right? And I'll be like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, all right, I'm gonna just take a nap when I come back. And it'd be like, no, today's Saturday. It's
Right.
Sunday. It's Sabbath. Sleep. Don't do nothing for nobody. So saying no without guilt, taking responsibility for your own actions and emotions. Because people like to push the boundaries and try and guilt you into, yes, they try to guilt you into an explanation. But again, you have to hold to firm to your boundary. No is a complete sentence. Oh, well, why not? Because no.
And
Because
if
no.
your boundary is consistent and the people are around long enough, they'll know. You dig what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? They'll start, oh no, it's Saturday, such and such. She probably
Mm-hmm.
la. And they'll just start respecting your boundaries. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Listen, if you want to get with me, you gotta get with me Friday night or
Mm-hmm.
Saturday night. Early in the day on the weekend is a no-go.
Yeah.
Once you establish that, they'll
Mm-hmm.
start respecting it.
And a key point to what you said, consistency.
Yeah.
Consistently, like, no, I'm not available Saturdays and Sundays. I'm just not. Like, my phone gonna do not disturb after a certain time because I'm not available. Don't
I
call
do
me.
want to point this out though, because some
Yes.
people they'll say they have a boundary, but be on social media during that boundary. I'm just saying,
Right.
in that particular situation, it's like, don't bother me Saturday morning. I'm locked out. But yet you all on all the social medias and you
You
doing
just
this,
sent
you
me
doing that.
32 videos.
Right. You slide me stuff in my DM, but I can't call you. You
I
dig
can't
what I'm
respond.
saying?
I can't say nothing, huh?
And that's what makes it a thin line. That's what
Yeah.
makes it a thin line, because
Mm-hmm.
who are you to say something?
Mm-hmm.
Now you're trying to govern what they got going on, but at the same time, don't lie to me.
Right. Be incognito on social media. Don't send me nothing. If you say you need your
Right.
time,
If you
don't
telling me you sleep, it better be no green light popped on your joint.
listen. Better not say active 2 minutes ago. You is not sleep. But you're right, Big Exclusive, right? So just because I'm available to social media, just not you. But you're right. That's a boundary. I just don't want to be available to you. And but you're right. So I know, like, after a certain time, my work phone, and I'm a therapist, right? So I'm always on call. But not at 7:45, baby. Don't call on me. Call Jesus. And that's all I got. 7:45, my phone go on do not disturb. By 8 o'clock, it is full do not disturb. And I don't got no numbers that can come through on my work phone. I am
You
off.
just
At 8 o'clock,
reminded
there's
me.
nothing I can do for you. You got to go on and call the crisis mobile unit, call the suicide hotline. Now, if you want to call me from the mobile crisis unit, once you get there and I can talk to the people, let them know, like, hey, this is what's going on. After 8 o'clock, do not call me. It's even certain people I will not talk to after a certain time. That's my boundary.
You
Because I don't
just
want to go to bed
reminded
with that.
me of two boundaries based off of my phone, but they've been in place for so long. I just
Yeah.
forgot about it until you just said something. So my phone is always on vibrate.
Mm.
My phone has been on vibrate for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
My phone goes in silent at 11:15 p.m. and it doesn't vibrate again until 7:30 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
The reason being was I felt myself a long time ago starting to get attached to my phone. You know what I mean? Every time it made a noise, I had to hurry up and that
Yeah.
dopamine hit. You dig what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And I realized how much it was occupying my time. So, well, then be honest, not just oh, I'm sleeping. Facts. And what happened was I felt the need to respond immediately.
Mm.
If somebody called me and I knew my phone was ringing, whether I
Mm.
was busy or not, I felt the need to answer right then and there.
Yeah.
I felt the
Yeah.
need to respond right then and there.
Mm-hmm.
And what was happening was motherfuckers wasn't doing that for me.
That part. That
You dig what I'm
part.
saying?
That
So,
part. Right.
in order for me to adapt to that, I had to start
Mm-hmm.
putting my phone on silent and
Mm-hmm.
start setting when it could vibrate and when it
Yeah.
couldn't vibrate. And now it's been about 10 years. You dig what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm going to call you back. I'm going
Yeah.
to text you back.
Yeah.
But I just always felt like that was how it was supposed to be. If somebody's calling, you're supposed to answer. If somebody's messaging, you're supposed
Right.
to respond. But like I said, it
Right.
wasn't happening for me, so I had to find a way to adapt. So that's another boundary that I do have.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, my work phone goes from 8 to 8.
Mm-hmm.
My personal goes 9:45. So by 10 o'clock, it is on do not disturb for everything. Like the only notifications that I have that come through is I have cameras in my house. So
Right.
like any motion sensor or stuff like that, just for safety reasons. But
Right.
the phone is still on vibrate. Like, and if I feel
Mm-hmm.
it buzz, I know it's only because of a camera. But again, if it ain't buzzing back to back, then I ain't checking it, because it's like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
it was buzzing back to back. Let me go on and see who's in my house, stuff like that. But
Right.
yeah, do not disturb, because I realized initially when I first became a therapist, I was so available to my clients. And it was just like, what am I doing therapy with you for every week if you can't even take the coping skills I am teaching you when you are in crisis? I can't be available to you all the time. It's like my son plays sports, and just making sure that I'm there for him, or just downtime for myself. Like, it's been a day. I just saw 6 clients today, plus worked a full-time job. I don't want to be bothered. Leave me the hell alone. And
Right.
so that is something that I implemented. Like you said, putting your phone on the schedule, making sure it's on do not disturb. It's nothing wrong with that. Now, I do have people on my personal phone that if they call, it'll go straight to voicemail. But if they call me right back, it's going to come through.
Right.
It better be an emergency, but they all know that. Like, everybody that's on that list, they all know. Like, we only calling her if it's an emergency. Somebody got to be dying or something. So that's a great boundary to have, guys. In the comments, if y'all do not have that, put your phone on do not disturb, because you do that. It's like, as soon as it buzzes, you jump right to it. It could be somebody sending you a video on social media. You don't allow your brain to slowly start to slow down, to wind down, to go to sleep. It's time to go to bed.
Yep.
It ain't nothing y'all need from me at 10 o'clock. Conversation is over. We can talk about this tomorrow at 8:01. Feeling supported by loved ones is a really good way of building boundaries. Not feeling responsible for other people's emotions. I say that all the time. I am not responsible how you feel about a thing. I'm not responsible for that. I'm not responsible how you feel. Now, I can take accountability for maybe how I said something, how it landed, but how you perceive and take something is not my responsibility. Whatever emotion ensues in you from something I said or did, that is on you. And that is a boundary. That is how you begin to build boundaries with people, not feeling responsible for other people's emotions about a thing. That's not your responsibility. You cannot control how someone feels. Now, like, again, I said, you can take accountability for how you said it or how it lands, but I'm not responsible for how you feel about a thing.
They will guilt you, though. They will try to guilt you.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Oh man.
Oh my God. Like,
yeah, I agree though.
You. They will. And guilt is like the running word this evening. Like, guilt. All of these are things where people try to guilt you.
Mm-hmm.
The last one is stating physical boundaries. Again, like I said, telling people how you like to be touched, don't like to be touched. That is a way to have a physical boundary. Do you like hugs? Do you not like hugs? Do you like kisses on the forehead? Do you not like whatever that is for you? Holding hands.
We know who don't like hugs.
If you don't like hugs, like me, I'm not, all right, so I'm not a cuddler, right? Like, physical affection is not my thing.
Listen, but that's how I was raised, though. I was raised, you shake male hands and you give women a hug. You dig what I'm saying? Like, that's just how I was raised. You was like, I don't get no hugs. Oh, shit, okay.
I just don't. And listen, but I was raised in the same generation, right? Like, I'm raising my son to shake male's hands and to hold doors for women and all of those things. But it's like, for me, I don't know. And it's crazy because my ex was that way. Like, he loved all of that stuff, the cuddling. And I'm like, oh my God, it's hot. Please stop. Like, after 5 minutes of cuddling, let's wrap this up. I get hot, I get overheated, turn the fan on. Like, but that's just not who I am, because that's just a boundary of mine. Like, I don't like physical touch. Now, I learned when I was in that relationship, like, okay, this is what he likes, so I'm willing to compromise. You got about 10 minutes. Like, I hate to put a time frame on it. But...
So I got a question for you.
Yes.
Do you think that's because physical touch is probably the way to break your wall?
I think so.
So that's why you enforce that boundary so much?
See, my sister, just like me, don't hug me. Wrap it up. I think that for me, it's so... I know for sure I'm always a person that has a wall up, right? Like, I know that about myself. And I think a part of me is scared to allow someone into that part of my emotion. But it's like, if you can unlock that, like, so my love language is acts of service. I'm really big on, like, showing people acts of service. Like, I'll cook for you. I'll feed you in a minute. Like, I love cooking. I'll cook for you. Like, I'll take you. I'll run errands with you if that's what you need. Like, I'll do something for you if it helps to better you. But I don't like physical touch. That's not my thing.
You know, some people thank you physically. Like
Right.
with the hug, like, thank you, I appreciate you so much. Or you dig what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So you're doing
Yeah.
things that calls for it.
I know.
And then
I know.
saying, here's my wall, don't touch me. Like, that's kind of hard.
I know. Listen, I got it. I'm in therapy. I got it. I'm just
That's
saying, like,
hard.
it's just, I know it's an oxymoron, right? It's like you
Yeah.
do these things, and this is how some people reward you. I have to be really comfortable for me to allow you to hug me or
Right.
to even get close enough to touch me. I'm not really like just that. You got some people that's just how they greet everybody that way.
Yeah.
Everybody get a hug. You get a hug. You get a hug. Like, relax. I don't like that. I had a lady at my old job I used to work at. That was how she talked to everybody. Like, oh, girl, come here, give me a hug.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do that. Don't do that. It's COVID. Before COVID, but still, like, that was just her way of like greeting people. I didn't like it. Please don't touch me. It feels weird.
You have a high level of intuition?
I do. I'm a good reader of energy. And I think that might be part of why I don't allow people, because I do believe in transference of energy.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe in that. I always say to people, and I've learned this in more recent years, I believe God has given me the spirit of discernment, and I don't always listen to it, but when I do, I be right on about people. Like, right. I be spot on. And so I think for me, I'm more of a like, let me sit back, let me play the background, let me read the room, let me read what kind of energy you giving off. I can almost 9 times out of 10 read somebody's energy in the first 5 minutes of interacting with them to know something ain't right.
Right.
Something ain't right. Or, oh, this person really is truly genuine. Now, some people have, what do they say? A wolf in sheep's clothing. Some people get past me. But for the most part, when I call something about a person, I be right. I'm right. That's my intuition. Like, that's my spirit. My spirit is discernment. Right. Like, I'm learning to get more into it. But yeah, physical touch. That's my boundary. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. Let me get to know you first. Let me see.
That's one of the 5, right?
That's one of the 5. That's one of my non-negotiables. Do not touch me, please. Okay. I'm trying to read your energy and try to figure out if I like you or not. It might be something. And it's weird because that's just, I don't know. I'm learning to
different
adapt
strokes for different folks.
Absolutely. So that's one of my non-negotiables. So ways to practice healthy boundaries. The first one is being assertive. Being assertive is not the same as being aggressive. So use assertive language to state and maintain your boundaries. Assertive language is clear and it is non-negotiable. This language should feel firm but kind to others. Using I statements can help you easily practice assertiveness. For instance, I feel blank when you blank, or I need blank from you right now. Assertive communication is not aggressive or threatening, but it helps show others what you expect and what your rights are. So I think a lot of times what looks like assertiveness, or what is assertiveness, looks like aggression from some people. I know that about myself. I'm a very assertive person.
I knew that. This is your show.
Go ahead. I invited you on. Go ahead and say what you need to say. Go ahead.
Don't use that as an excuse. Don't use that as an excuse. You're hard.
I'm not aggressive all the time, though. I'm just assertive.
Yeah, but I'm saying your assertiveness is aggressive really fast.
Or is that people's perspective of my assertiveness? It looks like aggression.
That when it's multiple people that come up with that same perspective, it deserves to be looked into.
I hear you. I hear you.
It deserves to be explored.
But if I'm going into a situation where my intention is to just be firm and assertive, and it comes off of aggressive, okay, then cool. If 5 people in the room say, all right, Don, that was a little aggressive.
Right.
I may or may not apologize for it. I'm not really big on apologies either. That's a non-negotiable. No.
Well,
but I may apologize for it. But I may apologize for it. But I think for me, it's like, I know my intention is not to be aggressive. Like, I don't do stuff to run people out the room. I just let people know, like, I said what I said. That's it. That's the sentence. No is a complete sentence. Again, that's what we gonna say for tonight. But I do realize that a lot of times my personality can come off as aggressive to people. But that's
Right.
never my intention. Like, I'm a super humble person. When people get to know me, like, I'm really cool. I'm really down to earth. Like, a lot of things people look at me, they be like, oh, she's stuck up. She thinks she. I'm really not. Like, once you get to know me, oh, I'm a good time. Like, we could go do ratchet shit with our friends. Like, we could go do all of that stuff. Like, we could talk sports, we could talk city girl, we could talk whatever you want to talk. Like, I'm really
Right.
down to earth. But I think it's just, again, probably that wall that I'd be like,
But I know this
I ain't
is
put it down yet.
cliche, but it's true. It
Mm-hmm.
also has to do with how things are said and the energy you possess while saying those things.
Mm-hmm.
You dig what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can say no, or you can say no, or fuck
Mm-hmm.
no. Like, you dig what I'm saying? Like, it's so many
Right.
different levels to no,
Yeah.
and there's so many different ways it could be received or taken. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And one thing, because I used to get misunderstood a lot when setting boundaries. And
Mm-hmm.
in this particular situation, I started saying, nah, we ain't gonna do all that. And I
Mm-hmm.
noticed people didn't get as offended as me
Yeah.
saying no. Like, no, I'm not doing
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, we ain't gonna do all that. And
Yeah.
to me, it's the same thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, for
Yeah.
some time and I are cool, I don't get any of that energy
That's what
for
I'm
some
saying,
reason.
big exclusive. Like, when you get to know me, I'm really down to earth. But I think, unfortunately, a lot of times, being a black woman, you being a black
Mhm.
male, a lot of times, whatever we say, no matter how we say it, people are going to take it aggressively. Because the stigma of, like, oh, you're an angry black woman. Am I angry, or am I just firm and you don't understand what boundaries are, and I'm holding you to a standard that you can't comprehend? Or
I blame
being a black
feminism.
male.
I
Huh?
blame feminism.
Listen, I ain't no feminist, so we ain't about to get
No,
into all of
no, that's what I'm saying. The fact that that's
Right.
being pushed so hard, a black male that stands 10 toes is toxic, and
Right.
a black female that has boundaries is toxic. You dig what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to force everybody into this new, I don't know what to call it, but
It's bitch assness. It's bitch assness. It's real
it,
soft. I don't like it.
I seen something the other day, right? I just want to say two things. I seen something the other day, and the traditional Christian is now going to be deemed a part of hate group. And what I mean by traditional Christian, if you're still preaching as far as male and female against
Right.
LBGQT and all that,
Right.
they're considering those type of Christians a hate group now with the
Oh wow.
KKK and with BLM. Yeah.
What?
Another thing, today I heard of a story. The lady,
See,
she's always
my
been
best
very
friend. Right.
strong in the way she talks. I didn't like her at first, and now she's my bestie. I'll just be giving her a
She
hard way
really
to
did it.
go.
She
I be
really
giving
did
Dom
it.
a
We
hard way to
unlike
go
each other.
because everybody be so intimidated.
That's not true. Angry OG gave me a hard way to go when I first got
Yeah,
on here. I was
me,
just
Angry
game
OG,
face,
and Big Exclusive.
but I held my own.
Honestly, for
I
this
stood
new
my
world we
ground.
live in, direct and firm are misconstrued as
Aggressive.
aggression. Opinions are now hate, and everyone is ultra sensitive. Facts.
Agree.
It was the story, right? This lady is 31 years old.
Okay.
She had a baby
Okay.
with a 13-year-old.
Oh dear.
She completely admitted to it and everything, right?
Right.
They allowed her a plea deal to where all she has to do is register as a sex offender and gets probation.
Mm-hmm.
You dig what I'm saying? Like, so I feel like the fact that these type of things are going on now and is allowed is making people, like Big Exclusive just said, people that have boundaries and set boundaries seem like extremists.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They seem like
Mm-hmm.
extremists and, can get locked up for it. For real, for real. If you enforce your
Right.
boundaries too much, if you don't allow someone to impede on your boundaries,
To
you
do
can
what
get
they want to
locked up
do to
for it.
you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
This
look
is
it
what the
up,
world
Brain.
is
I
coming
think
to.
it was in California. But
I'm
could you
not
imagine if
surprised.
that was the other way around? Could you imagine if that was a 13-year-old girl and a 31-year-old man?
Right.
We ran the experiment the other day, subliminals, and you know
I
how
saw
many
that big
people thought it was
exclusive. I just
directed
saw
at them.
it and logged off. I knew it wasn't for me, so I didn't entertain it. I was like, this ain't got nothing to do with me. I ain't did shit. He know where I live at. He can knock on my door.
Right.
This ain't got nothing to do with me. Whatever. It kept about my day. But that's the truth, right? Because everybody is so sensitive in his touch, and you got to be careful what you say and what you do. And maybe sensitive is the wrong word, because I know people are allowed to feel how they feel, right? People are allowed to have their emotions, but the moment again that I set my boundaries in place and you don't like them, I'm aggressive or I'm just firm, and this is just who I am. Like, I realize that that's just, and this is the thing, I haven't always been this firm. Reverse talking, right? Definitely castration. I haven't always been this
I'm
firm.
glad you
Like,
looked it up. Thank you. Please look it up. Anything I say, please look up.
yes. And it's like, I haven't always had this personality, but I had to grow into this personality. I used to get bullied. I used to get teased. Like, I used to be called corny too, like Michael B.
Haven't
Listen,
we all?
We was gonna talk about that tonight, but I needed the ladies to join me, so I said no. But I did listen to you and Jimbo's podcast from Friday. I was at work, so I couldn't tune in, but I listened to it this morning while I was at work. But that's a whole other conversation. But it's just like, I grew into this personality. And I think that because I allowed people to do stuff for so long, now I'm like, that don't work for me. Everybody like, oh, you're being aggressive, you're being mean. You're being passive aggressive. I'm not. I just don't agree. Like, and I think that's another thing. Us learning to not agree with each other. Like, it's okay if we don't agree. I don't have to agree with what you said because you said it.
True indeed. And to bring it back to what you were saying earlier, if you're consistent with your boundaries, the people that don't respect them, they're not for you. And eventually they'll fall to the wayside. And the people that are for you, who respect your boundaries, will remain. You dig what I'm saying? We're only allotted 7 people at a time. If you really think about it, you have 7 people around you that you can count on. Anything outside of that, one of those 7 has to be replaced if it's real. You dig what I'm saying? And that's just the way it goes. That's just the law of the land. That's not something that we made up. That's just how it is.
Yeah. I don't think I got 7. I for sure got 4. I for sure got 4.
I'm pretty sure it's 3 more in the tuck. You just ain't recognizing
it. Thank you. It probably is 3 more in the tuck. But you know what? I probably do have 7, but that's a whole other thing, right? I don't talk to my solid 7 every single day. Like, we're going to go days without.
You can't name 7 people that you could call right now?
Oh, absolutely. And I don't have to talk to them every day.
That's what I'm saying.
The love's still gonna be there. It's gonna be like, we're gonna pick right back up like ain't nothing happened. Wait, not 7. That comment was funny. All right, so the next one is learning to say no. I've been kind of, let me go check my list. It's so long. I low-key mean, I don't mean. It's sadly when people play too much. Yeah, people will take you there.
People play too much.
People will take people will take you there. That's my sister. So it says, yeah, I know, but people will take
Creamy.
you. Hey, Creamy. So even though it's difficult for some people to say it, remember that no is a complete sentence, as if I have not said that the whole entire night. Told you must have been hurt or you're damaged because I've been absolutely, and that's a part of the guilt. That is how people will guilt you.
That's a way of somebody trying to get in your business.
That part.
When they start doing that, they trying to get in your business.
Yeah, they throw stuff out there like that. Oh, you must have been hurt, or who hurt you? Because now they want a story. Now it's story time. Now they're trying to get the tea. They're not really concerned. And they're trying to guilt you into doing something that benefits them. So yeah, definitely somebody trying to get in your business. So again, no is a complete sentence. You can say no to anyone for any reason with no explanation required. Becoming comfortable with saying no goes hand in hand with assertiveness and is a great way to make your boundaries clear. Safeguarding your space. You can set and maintain boundaries for both your physical and emotional spaces, whether this means stating your physical boundaries to a friend or partner, or explaining to someone when a boundary of yours was broken. Be sure that the boundaries that are important to you are made clear. Sometimes this does not require verbal or vocal communication. For instance, putting a passcode on your phone to safeguard your technology boundaries does not mean you're sneaky. I go back to like what I first said when I first came. Like, you don't have to, you can share social medias with your whoever, your person. That don't mean I gotta give you my password and my phone. It don't mean I'm hiding anything. It just means that this is my space. Like what goes on in my phone is my space. It's my business. I'm not hiding stuff. Now some people do hide stuff, but for the ones of us that don't, yes, Poppy, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just about to say my other, that boundary I do not set. Even though I have a code on my phone, they have
Yeah,
access to all my private stuff.
yeah,
And I leave it up to them to when they decide to use it or not. You dig what I'm saying? So you better be wise. I mean, it's just a matter of changing the
choose
code if
wisely
it's
what
that
you gonna
deep.
search for.
Right. You dig what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
just a matter of changing the code if it's that deep, but that could
Yeah.
change the dynamics of the relationship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So
mean, my ex had my passcodes, like, and I would
yeah,
show him
see?
DMs, like, I would show him, like, just see this nigga in my DM, like, we would have those conversations because, again, I have nothing to hide. Like, I'm here with you, I'm in it with you. I don't care about this phone. I leave my phone around. Means absolutely nothing. Go back to Tiff's comment. I need a code. I say every day automatically. I mean, or I have an issue. There is no issue, but no is no. No is no. No is a complete sentence. I'm not hiding anything. It's my boundary. I'm not hiding anything. But if I tell you no, you can't have my password, then you can't. But for the most part, I'm pretty open with that type of stuff. Because again, I don't got none of this phone that I ain't willing
And
for you to see.
that's the thing. That's a touchy boundary when you're in a serious situation.
Yeah.
If they don't have access to it, not even that they want to go through it. You know what I mean? But I've come to find out if you give them access to it and they go in there and there's nothing to be found, that kind of builds the relationship. That kind of builds the trust. That kind of makes that wall go down a little more because it's like I was sneaking for nothing. Like you dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so it's all on perspective.
You was looking
as far
over
as
my
that
shoulder
goes.
trying to get the passcode for nothing. Just ask.
Right.
All you do is just ask. It's not that deep. So getting support if needed. This is also a way to start boundaries. If you have trouble setting or maintaining your boundaries or otherwise need help, reach out to a mental health professional. This can be especially helpful when navigating boundaries if you experience mental illness or if people in your life cross boundaries often. If I want the code, pay the bill. People think like that. Sorry, angry OG. If you want the passcode, pay the phone bill. You don't pay this phone bill, you don't deserve this passcode.
Facts, Creamy.
So there are some. What did you say, Creamy? Ho, go back. I'm a firm believer of seek and you shall find. I agree. If you go looking, you may find something. But if there's nothing there, I feel like the phone thing is such a touchy thing. Like phones and relationships is such a touchy thing. It's such a touchy boundary. So let's get into some benefits of having these healthy boundaries. One benefit is it conserves emotional energy. Setting and maintaining boundaries will help you conserve your emotional energy and can put you in a better mental state. So that whole term that's going around, protect your peace, I got to protect my peace. This is what this is. Just, in a politically correct way. Conserving your emotional energy. That is the same as protecting your peace. I don't want to go through the phone. I just want the passcode. Right. Again, if you have it and you don't use it, then that's up to you. Problem is that even when it's nothing, that's what I can look. But don't ask me about nothing there. I agree. Some people will make a problem out of nothing, unfortunately. But that's somebody's insecurity. But then this is where your boundary comes into place. You got to set that boundary. I'm cracking up. I'm gonna eventually the biggest loser. Get your toxic ass out of here. Get your toxic ass out of here for the night. More independent and self-esteem. So if you have these healthy boundaries, you will feel more independent and your self-esteem will be healthier. With emotional and physical boundaries, you will develop autonomy and independence. Maintaining your assertiveness about your boundaries will also help boost your self-esteem. Last but not least, better relationships. That's what we're all here, right? To have better relationships. When you are able to create and maintain your own boundaries and respect those of your partner, friends, and family, you can see improvements in relationships. Setting clear communication and expectations will allow you to bring about healthier relationships, and you may even influence the behavior of others in a positive way. Better relationships. Again, boundaries is not a one-way street. You can't just have your boundaries and say, this is what this, and this is my non-negotiables, and not be receptive to that person when they give you, because you're toxic, being exclusive. I said what I said. No is a complete sentence. I'm just kidding. Making sure that you have boundaries, but also allow that person to have their boundaries, and coming to some type of happy medium, whether it's in an intimate relationship, with family, with friends. I know with the holidays passing, oftentimes that is when people's boundaries get tested the most. So going, like, I know I hear like a lot of horror stories, going to family houses with people you don't like. Like, I don't like this aunt, I don't like this uncle, I don't like this person, I don't like that person. Or God forbid, like, this person touched me, this person did this to me, and having to be in that room with that person that just makes you, that incites fear or makes you feel overwhelmed. It is your right to set a boundary with that person. If
What
you know
about
you
the
got the
people?
huh?
What about the people who choose to be in those environments?
People
You
that
dig what I'm
choose to be in
saying?
those environments, there are people that do that.
They'll
Absolutely.
say, I don't like this person, I don't like that person, but then soon
Mhm.
as such and such having something at their house,
At every family event.
you there. That
So
that
either you,
that's where people don't take your boundaries serious, people.
because there's no consistency. You say one thing, but then you do something else. Oh, every time this person call, they always want to gossip, and you be right there eating it up. You be right there
Mm-hmm.
listening. You do. You be in there adding your 2 cents. Say no, right? And being around family members, or people that make you uncomfortable, like learning to speak up, or even if you have that person that about to come and give you all the tea. Hey, girl. Hey, listen, I just walked in. Give me like 5 minutes. Go take you a walk, or whatever it is that you need to do, so that you can mentally be prepared for whatever. Or if you don't want to hear it, hey, listen, I ain't here for that tonight.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I'm not here. But I think sometimes it's hard for us. Y'all is having a whole thing in the comments about her and this access code. Jesus,
That's
do
something
it,
I be
send her
having
the
to do a
link.
lot lately now too.
Huh?
I said that's something I be having to do a lot lately now too. Like, no, I ain't here for that right now. Because
I'm
as
not
soon as
here for
people
that
see me,
right
they
now.
want to debate. They like, oh, this the master debater. Let's debate. And everybody, yo, bro, like,
I just came here
right?
for
I really
food.
just came to chill, bro. I didn't come here for no smoke.
That's it. Or even like just me being a therapist, I think sometimes that gets in the way of a lot of like my friendships and relationships with people, because it's like now they want to come and get advice,
Mm-hmm.
or hey, so hey, Miss Therapist, no, no, I just came here to get a drink. Jesus, like, I'm not here for this. One cross, that's a done deal. No hard feelings, no family is good. With testing your boundaries, I have to protect my peace at all costs. Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to be able to protect your peace at all costs. I notice boundaries make for a lonely life at times because people cannot accept it, but lonely has become so peaceful. Doesn't it though? Doesn't it, when you have those people? Because but it goes to kind of what you said. People that love and respect you are going to go with your boundaries, and for the people that can't,
But that's what I'm saying. I can't relate to it being lonely. That sounds like you're mean. That's what that sounds like.
it's the difference between boundaries and me.
Yeah,
It's the
it's a
difference
difference
between being
between boundaries and
assertive.
get the fuck away from me. Like, you dig what I'm saying?
Right. So that difference of being assertive versus being aggressive.
Right.
So
Because
I would say it's definitely
boundaries
not
get the
lonely.
wrong people from around you.
Mm-hmm.
It may be less people around you, but I don't think it's
Mm-hmm.
lonely at all.
Yeah.
That's me though. That's just my take.
Yeah. I think when you set boundaries with people, it's not going to be lonely, because the right
Right.
people that are supposed to be there, the people that are going to respect those boundaries, are going to be there. Like you said, you're going to lose people, of course. Like, I've lost so many friends over the years because I set boundaries, and I was just like, but I'm not lonely. I'm like, oh, well, next. I got out of it what I needed to get out of it. Like, every
Mm-hmm.
relationship that we encounter in life is going to go through a season. It's going to teach you something. You should be getting something out of it. You should never be bitter about it. What did you learn from this friendship, this relationship, this family member, or whatever? I mean, I'm one good for cutting people off. I'm gonna be honest. I know that's my toxic trait. I cut people off, but it's like, if I had to choose between me or you, I'm gonna choose me every time. Lonely and peaceful do not sound right together. True, I need the right people agreeing and learning. Absolutely, and it's all a learning process. You're not gonna get it overnight. A lot of this is learned behavior. A lot of this we've been doing for 20, 30, 40 years, however old we are. And so it's going to take time to implement healthy boundaries with people. And again, people aren't going to like it, but as long as you're consistent, that's key. So that's my take on boundaries. Do you have anything else for us, Poppy?
Um, I do have something I could add real quick. Um, trust that voice inside, people. I can't stress that enough. That voice will not steer you wrong. And we have been conditioned throughout school and throughout life to listen to these outside voices of people who portray to love you, who portray to want the best for you, and all those other things. When inside, that voice is telling you otherwise about said person. Trust that voice and watch how much better your life turns.
Mm-hmm.
It won't be easy at first
Mm-mm.
because it's going to give you truths. Well, you're going to be faced with truths that you didn't want to face.
Mm-hmm.
But once you understand how it all translates into the physical world, that
Mm-hmm.
voice will become your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let it drive you crazy. It is your friend.
Absolutely.
And it'll tell you when to set those boundaries. It's like, fine example, you could walk past, somebody could live 3 blocks away from you for 15, 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
and you won't know. And y'all could pass each other, y'all could barely miss each other. You could just pay for your food at the Chinese store, walked out, and 2 minutes later they walked in for
Mm-hmm.
15, 20 years. And when the
Right.
time is right, y'all will encounter each other and meet.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea how much control you both have over that meeting, and y'all don't even know each other. And a big part of that is setting your boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Setting your boundaries will have the right people around you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you set them, make sure you set them.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I want to add to that.
I agree. Setting those boundaries will definitely have the right people be in your life, because those are also two people that have worked on boundaries. They've
Mm-hmm.
done the work. They know what they like, what they don't like, what they're willing to tolerate, what's a negotiable, what's a non-negotiable. And everything will fall in line the way that it is supposed to. I agree. I know boundaries are hard for people, especially when it comes to family, comes to friends, those we love, relationships, but they're important. This is where it starts. Having a healthy mental health is setting healthy boundaries. And again, not being mean, not being aggressive, but being assertive, being firm but kind, and understanding how you say something and how it lands on other people. Not invalidating people's feelings and not allowing people to invalidate yours. If you say something and you feel a way and you express that to a person, not allowing them to skip past it, but also learning to listen, not just pick up trigger words so then you can argue with them as soon as they're done because you ain't like what they said, but like fully listening, not hearing, but fully listening to what a person is saying, and vice versa. Make sure that that person is fully listening to what you're saying and they're present in the moment. Um, Boundaries must be enforced with consequences. Some people's consequences is cutting people off. Like, these are my boundaries. You ain't listening to them. I'm cutting you off. I told y'all that's my toxic trait. I'm good at cutting folks off. I don't got time. Not at
Every
this grown
action has
age.
a
I don't.
reaction.
Every action, there's a reaction. I not at this big age. I don't got time to be chasing. Listen, this is what I said. What I said. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And just making sure that we're receptive to it. Understanding that boundaries can be physical, it can be mental, it can be emotional. And working on our state, our mental state, and to have a healthy state. No is a complete sentence, guys. It's okay to say no.
That's the saying of the week.
That
What
is
was
not
a
going to
complete
be about
sentence? I'm about to make that my status.
no is a complete sentence. When you were validated and a sad person was warned. Absolutely. Absolutely. It doesn't have to be a toxic trait. But I think even that's a word that's so cliche. Everybody just throw that word out there. It's toxic. But I meant what I said to be exclusive. I said what I said about that.
Thanks for having me,
but
Dom. I
absolutely.
appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. You know,
Great
you can come on
show.
the show anytime. I already appreciate your insight. You know, tell Mr. Samuels, okay? Mr.
Well,
Love
you
Doctor, we
know,
need him to
let
spin
me
the
tell you
block.
something real quick about the Love Doctor. So he had the G5 and he had been flying back and forth, right? And
Yeah, yeah,
he got the private pilot and all that. Well, this
yeah.
motherfucker, when the balloon and all that was up
Oh,
and they told everything to come down, they got caught up in the air. They done shot the G5 down. So he in the hospital right now in DC. So that's
oh,
why you ain't heard from Brethren. And that's why I'm out the cellar.
because he ain't All he had to do was to come down when they said to come down.
He had to get back. He had to get back.
Send my love. Send him my love. Send him my love.
Salute.
Send him my
I'll
love.
holla at
Speedy
y'all.
recovery. Not today years old. Bye. Thank you, Poppy. Have a great night. I'm not playing with you, Big Exclusive. You were not today years old when you were told you were toxic. But I appreciate you guys for tuning in, for listening. I hope you guys got something out of it. No is a complete sentence. It is okay to hold your boundaries. It is okay to be firm, but not aggressive. Be kind with your words to others. Be kind to yourself. This is something that is going to take some time. We are not going to get it overnight. A lot of ways we've been maneuvering is learned behavior. So give yourself, show yourself some grace. And I hope you guys have an amazing evening. I'll see you next Monday. Bye.
Hey, good people. Welcome to Melanated Vibrations, a new show that celebrates the diversity and richness of Black culture. Join us as we delve into our individual mental health and overall mental health of our community. From the latest trends to the timeless coping mechanisms, we'll showcase the best of what it means to be mentally healthy. So sit back,